Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dani. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It feels so good to have you watching and so good to be sitting down in this chair filming another video. It has been a few months since I have uploaded. I don't really have an excuse for that, but anyway, we're back. We're in business. I've got more videos coming up that I'm very excited about. Filming YouTube videos and content creation is something that I genuinely love and I'm just so passionate about doing, so I am not going anywhere anytime soon. But anyway, I'm going to jump straight into today's video. So today's video is going to be all about how I moved to America last year. So as a lot of you would know, I spent about half a year last year living in Los Angeles. I am back in New Zealand now, but since doing so, I had quite a lot of Instagram messages and emails and all sorts of things from people just asking how I did it. Because when you're a foreigner trying to come into the States, it's a very overwhelming process, I'm not gonna lie, and it is a little bit confusing, a little bit difficult to navigate. So I'm hoping after you've watched this video it will be of some help to you in your journey with going overseas. So obviously this video is not going to be for everyone, but if you did click on it, that probably means that you're an old subscriber who's a little bit curious about how I went to Los Angeles last year. Maybe you're thinking about doing so in the future or somewhere else in the States, or you're a brand new person to this channel, and if so, you are most welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you do subscribe if you like my content. So just so you do know, I like to make a lot of travel content about my time traveling around New Zealand and my experiences being a Kiwi over in the States. My channel is filled with all sorts of stuff like that, so if that's of interest to you, definitely check it out. I've also got a video on my internship experience in Los Angeles, so I'll leave that in the description as well. If you're someone who's looking to intern over in the States, that might be useful for you to get an idea of what it's all like. So to move to the States, the number one thing we all know is you're gonna have to get yourself a visa. The visa process, my favorite. It's very daunting. It's full on, it's a lot. So, but just to break it down for you, if you're staying in the United States for 90 days or less and not going to work, you're just wanting to go over just to travel or for like business or pleasure kind of thing. If that's you, then you can get a visa waiver, or an ESTA, I think it's called. An ESTA visa. So you can get a visa waiver if you are an eligible citizen of certain countries. They'll have it listed on the website, so just give it a Google, but it's pretty simple, and for most countries this is available to you. So if you're traveling for 90 days or less, just jump online and it costs like $20. You just answer a few questions and then you've got yourself the visa waiver. But if you are looking for a more long-term or more permanent stay in the US, you will definitely need to apply for a visa, and you'll need to do so online. So the visa that I went on is a J1 visa, which is one of the most common visas for the United States. I would highly recommend this visa if you're someone who is fresh out of university and just wants to go and get out and explore and see and travel and work in the United States for up to a year. So that's how long you get on the J1 visa. You can do a bunch of different things on the J1. I've been on the J1 twice. I was on the J1 visa as well when I was studying in the States when I did my degree. So you can go on it to study, you can go on it to do an internship, you can go on it to be a au pair, you can go on it to be a camp counselor. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. So if you want to learn more about that, I can leave a link in the description that explains that visa. So that's 100% the best and easiest and cheapest visa to go on if you are a recent graduate. So a J1 visa, I've just got a little list here so I don't forget. It lets you work and travel. You can work anywhere you want in the United States for up to a year, or within that time you also don't have to be working week after week. You can take time off and you can travel around the country as well. So to get this visa you have to be over 18 years old, you've got to be a New Zealand or an Australian citizen, and you've got to be enrolled as a full-time university student or a recent graduate within 12 months, and then you've got to have proof of funds, which will be a couple $1,000 to show that you have the money to go overseas in the first place. And if you don't fall into any of these categories, that's totally fine. There will likely be a visa for you. If you're curious, I think there's even like a test online that you can just answer a few questions and it tells you what visas you're eligible for, which is super useful. If you want to find that, I'll see if I can find that and leave it linked down below. But I'd recommend just checking out the US Embassy website, and it just gives information on all the different types of visas, what they mean, what ones you're eligible for, what ones you're not, and then you can take the next step from there. So yeah, for me, the J1 visa was a relatively straightforward process. I know from here, if I did want to return to the United States, it would be really hard for me to get another working visa unless I was to find sponsorship from an employer that would have to pay, I think, quite a few thousand to just be able to employ me over there, which is obviously tough. Although I know if you're Australian, there's another visa you can go on to stay in the US longer. So overall, it is a bit of a process to even just get the J1 visa. It's not like super hard, but there is a fair bit of paperwork that you've got to fill out. Basically just convincing them that you are a perfectly good and sane person to have in the country. You're not a terrorist and you're not someone who's trying to overstay your time or do anything illegal. So you've got to fill out a bunch of paperwork regarding that kind of stuff. You also have to produce a pretty good CV for the J1 visa, and then you just have to talk a bit about why you want to travel to the United States, what you want to learn about the culture, what you're hoping to get out of your trip, and then you've also most likely got to have proof of income. So you do have to have proof of funds, which will be like around a few $1,000s, showing that you've got that so you can afford to live there the time that you're going to be over there. And they also like to see that you've got a return plane ticket home, so you may have to purchase this before you even arrive in the United States. They want to make sure you're not trying to overstay your visa or become a permanent resident there if that's not what your visa lets you do. So you're going to have to show that you have like a place to come back to in your home country and a return flight if it's not a permanent residency situation. And if it is, then that's a whole nother ball game that I obviously personally haven't experienced, as I've just gone over there for, you know, up to a year. So once you've applied for your visa, you do have to go and do the embassy interview, which I was actually like really nervous about. I was like, oh my gosh, are they not going to let me into the United States? Why do I have to do this interview? What am I going to say? What are they going to ask me? It's all a little scary, but don't worry, it's actually not. It's very straightforward. Once you get there, you'll basically just go and line up. There's a bunch of people who are also going for the embassy interviews on the same day as you. And there's just these desks that these people are standing behind basically, and you get called over to one, and from there they'll just ask you what your travel plans are in the US and why you want to go, what you're going to be doing, and then most likely, fingers crossed, hopefully from there they will approve your visa and then you're all good to go. So yeah, that was my experience with getting a J1 visa for the United States. Please do let me know if you're planning on getting a J1 visa or a different type of visa. In terms of getting a visa, you can go through this process alone, but what I would highly recommend doing, especially if this is your first time moving to the United States, I would recommend going through a work and travel company. So the one that I went through is called IENA, which stands for International Exchange of North America. And they were an awesome company. I could not recommend them like more highly. They were absolutely lovely to deal with, super helpful, really quick to reply, quick to respond, and just answered any questions that I had about the whole process. So they helped me to get my visa for the United States, and they told me all of the paperwork that I'd need. And basically the reason why it's worth going through one of these agencies is that you just don't want the massive headache of not quite knowing if you've done everything right. So a work and travel company, basically they just streamline the whole visa process for you and help you to get into the United States in the simplest way you can. And lots of these programs will also be your sponsor. So for most visas for the US, you do need someone to sponsor the visa. So in my case, this company has an headquarters in New York, I believe, so they were my sponsor. They were my US based sponsor. The main things that a work and travel company will help you with are the costs. So they make everything super simple and break it all down for you, so you know how much you're going to spend to get your visa and to get set up and all of those types of things. So usually I think the program fees from one of these work and travel companies is around 1,000 New Zealand dollars. So yeah, they'll help you loads with your visa, which is so valuable. Could not recommend that more. They'll also help you with assistance with job placement, so they can actually find you a job over in the States, which I would highly recommend unless you're going over with a lot of savings and are prepared for that all to go down the toilet very quickly. It is definitely recommended to organize a job through one of these work and travel companies before you go overseas. I actually had a friend who went over to LA at the same time as me, and he didn't have a job when he went over there, and I know it took him a few months to find a job, but he did end up getting one in the end. So it's definitely possible to not have anything lined up, just get yourself a visa, head over and then find a job once you're kind of on the ground there and can actually meet and talk with potential employers and that kind of thing. But overall, if you're someone who wants a bit more sense of security and knowing what they're going to get themselves into and where you need to move to, where you need to live, where you need to stay, all of that, then it is a good idea to see if you can find employment before you go over there. And that's what one of the work and travel companies can help you do. So yeah, I'll leave all the links for everything in the description below. They also help you with insurance, and the other thing is that they give you a point of contact. So if you're confused about anything over in the States, setting up a social security number, just all of this different stuff that we don't have to do back in our home countries, you can just ask the questions straight to them. And yeah, that was just so helpful. I don't know what I would have done without them. So if you're wondering what I was doing over in the US, I was working for an entertainment agency that had a focus on content creation and social media with Warner Brothers and Disney and all those kind of brands, so it was pretty epic. I got to spend quite a bit of time watching Disney movies and TV shows and looking for memorable moments that would, you know, be able to be turned into social media content, be turned into memes or little videos and stuff like that. So honestly, it was such a cool job. I'd never have the chance to do that in New Zealand. So if you do get the opportunity to go overseas and do something like what I've done, 100% just go for it. You will not regret it. But for me, I was pretty lucky because I actually got my internship through a graduate program through AUT University. So if you're someone who's looking to study or currently at AUT University in Auckland, if you are, I highly recommend checking out their international graduate program, because that's what I went through to get this job and to have help with my visa and my work placement and everything through IENA. That was all set up for me through AUT, and it was such an incredible opportunity, and I actually got a scholarship, so they did help me with all of my visa costs and for my insurance and my flights and that kind of thing. So that was absolutely incredible. So definitely check out, if your current university or even just where you live, if there's any scholarships or financial assistance available, it's worth just applying for, because you never know if you're going to get it, and if you can save all that money and still get over to the States, like, it's a win-win. Leave me a comment to let me know where in the US you are planning to move to, or where just overseas in general you'd love to move to someday and experience. I could not recommend it more highly enough, even though it was a little bit tedious going through the visa process, and you know, it is a little bit expensive. You do have to have the funds there. I really could not recommend it more. My time in the US, it was challenging, it was a roller coaster, but I learned so much about myself. I made incredible friends, and I just had the absolute opportunity of a lifetime that I wouldn't have in New Zealand. So if you're wondering what I was doing over in the US, I was working for an entertainment agency that had a focus on content creation and social media with Warner Brothers and Disney and all those kind of brands, so it was pretty epic. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any other topics you want me to cover, please don't hesitate, just reach out to me, ask me anytime, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys!